our regular meeting of council in person and live streamed electronically Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024 at 6 p.m. Just a reminder, our application for our vacant council seat closes April the 9th at 2 p.m. Our land acknowledgement. The council and staff of the Township of Montague acknowledge that this sacred land on which the Township of Montague is now located and this meeting is being held is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. I'll have our moment of silence, please. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Abbas and seconded by Councillor Crabtree that the regular meeting of council, agenda dated April 2nd, 2024, be approved as amended this date to move items 8A, B, and D from information to action. All in favor? And that's carried. Disclosure just now or at any time during our meeting. Moved by Councillor Crabtree, seconded by Deputy Reeve Carroll, that the minutes of the regular meeting of council dated March 19th, 2024 be approved as presented. All in favor? And that's carried. Any business arising from our previous? Jeff?
Just something real quick about the appointment process. We had information that, I guess the information was that we got from Tony was that we can't do any type of in-camera. But that was a sort of a, I want to say free advice that Tony gave us, like as a quick email saying like, you really can't do that. I did share with some of council, and I have no problem sharing with anybody in the public too as well, with two ombudsman reports that basically state that the council went into camera to talk about the candidates, not to make a decision, but just to have an open and frank conversation about the personal matters of the candidates or the personal being of the candidates. And both reports basically came back, said that that was completely fine. So there is sort of that opportunity. I want to make sure that like we have all information as we discuss it. That being said, you know, having more discussions about that too as well. We're doing everything open in the open public, which I think is also like the right thing to do. There is an opportunity that we could do that, but also in the same token, it could bring, even with that information, it could bring an integrity report, which could cost obviously taxpayers money too as well. So it's one of those things where just to bring forward to talk about the options that we do have to try to make this as the, you know, make sure that we go through the selection process the best possible way. And that we do have an opportunity if we chose to, but it could bring other flags too as well up that could say, you know, what was said in that meeting. We have, you know, and if people say that we want to have an integrity report, which then we would all be pulled in to talk about that to make sure that what we said in that meeting was, and that would cost extra money for something that, I mean, I have the confidence in the council and the group that we would do our best to make sure that we follow the rules as best as possible. But on the other side of it, do we want to go through, even with us doing that a person can still bring forth a complaint, that cost would be done, and it might, you know, tarnish sort of the whole process. So I guess long and short is like, I want to make sure that we have all of those options, and that there is, because it was one of those discussion points that we did have, saying we think it's kind of crazy that it's not, there isn't a point or a time that we could go into a camera and have a little bit of a discussion about the candidates. Yeah. There is an option for it. There's a lot of gray lines with it too as well. So more and more that I think about it, like I was, at first I thought we had asked Tony we had asked our integrity commissioner for advice, and we had paid for like a report to say that you can't do this. And I would, you know, at that point, I would say like, I would want to challenge the report because I don't think the homework was done. This was more of like a sort of a blanket statement that didn't cost us anything. So I don't really want to adhere extra costs for something that is unneeded. So if there's any points that anybody wants to bring up for that, or if Allison has anything that I might miss along those lines, we can discuss it, or we can just stay with what we decided already, with making sure that we're doing everything in the open. I have no problem. I think it's sometimes is the best way to do things in the open, but we do have that opportunity if need be.
So, thank you, Chair. So through you, so the information given by our legal solicitor, who is also our integrity commissioner, was that the closed session cannot be about debating the merits of the applicant or expressing opinions on the candidates. It would strictly just be to receive and discuss the personal information. So you couldn't debate why you were choosing someone or anything along those lines based on, so it was just about receiving personal information about an individual. So keep that in mind, that the debate still has to happen in open based on what we've been provided from the integrity commissioner, and even based on the reports, you receive personal information in camera. So all of the applicants are signing NFIPA stating that their statement of qualifications is being put on a public agenda. So that's why that was brought forward, is because, yeah, I think the question was asked, can we not debate who we want? What we've been provided from legal, who is also our integrity commissioner, is that no, you cannot debate the merits of an applicant or opinion on a candidate in camera.
Just so we have all the information. I just want to make sure we have all the information, all the questions are there. And after all of that, I know for myself, I'm comfortable with continuing to do everything, obviously in the open. I want to make sure we're doing everything we can. We don't really have anything to hide, and I think we've proven that as a council, so I think we can kind of keep that going too as well. But it's good to have those options too as well, so, or to know the options.
I'd just like to thank Deputy Reeve for looking into that and sending that to the rest of us to give us the option.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for sure.
So we'll move on to our delegation, and Kate Laffin from the Merrickville Library case.
I see that my report's already up on it. If I'd known you guys were gonna do that, I would get on time. Because it's been on my stick. But anyway, that's not the only reason. Okay. But anyway, hello, I'm pleased to be back here again for another year. The library is pleased to report that the community's use of the library has continued to recover from the pandemic and has grown during 2023. This is our annual report, if I didn't say that already. Circulation is up, both of our physical collections with books and DVDs, and our e-collection, which is ebooks, e-audiobooks, and e-magazines. And as for both children and adults, it's up, which is very nice. I'm very pleased about it. We are continuing to offer, in some cases, expand services and programs that were popular in 2022. And the result is visits are continuing to increase from last year and from 2022 in 2023, as did the number of active members, including a bunch of new people from Montague. We were excited about that. And program and meeting participation and class visits were up even from before the pandemic, so that's exciting. And the use of library computers and the internet is starting to recover. That was the one thing they kind of lagged behind. Programming, our programs support lifelong learning and social interaction, enhanced community well-being and engagement. We doubled the number of our adult programs from 2022. We continued some of our newer adult programs that we just started in 2022 and expanded on them. Meditation, fitness for your aging brain, the art group, grief support group, as well as our book club and support for other book clubs, and Off the Shelf, which is a reading for adults program. Our children's programs, our programs encourage families to visit the library more, to borrow books more frequently, and to bring them back, which is also important, and encouraging them to view the library as a destination. So we have people who kind of like spend Saturday mornings there, you know, just playing with the toys that we have out, things like that. So we're pleased about that. We continued our children's programs. We have weekly programs for younger kids. We have story time. We have Saturday play days. We had very good participation in our summer reading club, which is for school age kids. We have maker programs and sort of STEAM or STEM programs, which is science, technology, engineering, math. It's kind of loose, like we're not sitting there in the laboratories or anything like that, but we're having some fun with science and things like that, so which is always good. Wasn't able to do quite as much children's programming as we would like because of staff limitations. We had a new board this year, and that took up much of my time, but we're working on that for 2024. We've already brought some new things in. We're excited to be working with Montague this summer on some of the working through summer student program for that. So I was talking to Allison about some ideas, so we're looking forward to that. And we continue class visits. I make visits to Montague School, Miracle School. We have class visits from St. Marguerite Bourgeois and from Miracle Public sometimes, and students from Miracle Prep School. And I also do story visits to daycare and playgroup. And I should be on page 2 by now. I just realized. Okay, how can I get to page 2 from here?
The arrow,
Which arrow?
side arrow.
Just that one? Okay. Didn't seem to want to do it for me. Okay, but it's good. It's not doing it for you either. So, okay, there we go. All right, yeah. So yeah. So we have a lot of programs. There's our destination library. Saturdays, people come play off the shelf. Our fitness for the aging brain, which we're going to be running another session of soon. It's a really good program. It's actually run by this woman who does it she does it professionally. She and neuroscience and geriatrics, and it's sort of an exercise program, but does brain stimulation at the same time. We do a lot of sequences and patterning, so it's not so much. It's not such a heavy workout, but it's good for all of you. And our group has been really enjoying it, and we do small groups of it because we have a small room, but they like doing it in a group. You can do it from home, but they actually prefer to do it here in the library. So that's been fun. We're gonna be running another session of that. We're looking for new people, so if you're interested, let me know. And let's see, it just works. Yeah, so, and there's some of our children's programs here, which I should have already through. But there we go. And community partners. Working with our community partners enhances and increases the services that the library can deliver, but it also helps our community partners to deliver their services and to reach out to community and so and to fulfill their mission. So the line is we work better when we work together. So we're keen on that. Our seed library. We just finished our 3rd year. We distributed 30% more seeds than in 2022. Our seed Saturday was very popular. We've also Echo Champions, which is an environmental sort of contest for kids. They do research on one of the species at risk and do a presentation, or well, do it like a diagram or video or whatever they want on it. We also partner with on the Story Trail with the Trail Society, which is and yeah, I hear you guys are working on the Story Trail too. Talk to me when you guys are ready to go. I've got lots of lessons learned, shall we say. And of course, we've also participated in some of the community events. I do green screen photos at Christmas Miracle and for Halloween. We helped out with the Blockhouse by supervising their summer staff. They've been sort of in transition. Next year, they're going to be a museum board, but in transition, they didn't have anybody to kind of do that. And so we stepped in. We've also been doing a lot, providing space for meetings. We've had a lot of interest in that, particularly post-pandemic. And we were in location for the Girl Guide troop, one of the Girl Guide troops in 2022, 2023, which they greatly appreciated because they were having trouble finding the space. And so skip over to our popular services. We continue to lend museum passes to a lot of Ottawa museums. This summer we had a pilot project by Upper Canada Village. We have pass from them, which was super popular. I'm hoping that they make it into a permanent thing, but we will see. And also we have our e-resources, Overdrive, which is ebooks, e-audiobooks, e-magazines, Canopy, which is sort of indie films, art films, foreign films, award-winning films, sort of the stuff you don't get on Netflix, documentaries, things like that. The library has a subscription to that, so library members can get a certain number free per month. All of those things all of our e-resources are sponsored by the Friends of the Library. So they do an awful lot of fundraising for us. In 2023, they did an online auction, which gave them a boost. Which is good because these resources are very popular, but also kind of expensive. So it's great that they're doing that. We'd like to thank them for what they contribute. We'd like to thank all our volunteers. We have many volunteers who come in, help with things around the library, and our mat gardeners who take care of our outside, make it look good. And let's see. Yes, this was the 15th anniversary of being in our new library building, and which was donated by the Lions Club. So we celebrated them. They've also supported some of our other programs like the Seed Library Decodable Book Collection, and the Echo Champions Contest. And we've had some donors who have, there we go, who have given us some money. We had a donation from the RBC in 2022. At the end of 2022, in 2023, we used it to upgrade our computers. One of our longtime library members, Liz Wallace, who is also a Montague resident, actually, she died. She was a former teacher. She was a very passionate literacy tutor, and so we've got a lot of donations in memory of her for children's program and our children's collection. So we've been spending that last year. Next year, we've added some more decodable books and literacy books and books for reluctant readers and that kind of thing. We're going to be continuing that in 2024. Let's see, we had a new library board appointed in 2023, and they were almost all of them entirely new to the library board. The only one who has had any experience was Olivia from Montague, who actually when we moved into our building, she was on the library board then. So we've been doing a lot of training and orientation, reviewing policies, approving the budget, also moving ahead on some needed building repairs and equipment replacement, and working towards renegotiating the lease with the village. We've had it since like 2009, 2010, so we need to look at it again. But their very high priority item is to do a new strategic plan. We didn't do one, our last one ended in 2018. We were about to start a new one when there was a pandemic. So we decided to put that off, and we took care of some infrastructure things, but now the board is very keen to find out what the community, there's been a lot of change, there's some new development in Miracle, and I know there's been a lot going on in Montague as well. So we want to kind of see what people are looking for us to plan a direction forward. And last page, yes, there we go. So those are our finances. As you can see, the vast majority of our money comes from municipal funding, which is the case for all public libraries. That's where we get most of our money. Province gives us a little bit, not that much, anyway, so we'd like to thank Montague for your continued support. We appreciate the increase that we got last year and this year, so thank you very much. We're continuing to do our best to provide the best service we can for Montague and Miracle Wolford community on your behalf, and we want to be a service that's valued by the residents, which I have a lot of comments from library users in here and there in the report, talking about what they like and what they value. So we feel like we're hitting that target, and also to support your municipal goals of working together to build and support the community. So I'd like to thank you. I don't know if you have any questions. I'll stop talking.
I'd love to any questions.
Good report, thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Just thank you once again, Mary Kate, for coming in. I mean, I think this is it's always nice to hear everything that's going on. It's nice when we have an audience that they can hear what's going on in the library too as well.
Sorry, I've been kind of directing my comments.
No, but it's great though, because I mean, sometimes people don't realize everything the library does. I mean, especially like when you talk about the museum passes, which I know so many families appreciate, and everything else, the STEM stuff, which has been recognized through Lanark County, because I know you're in contact with the different libraries, you're working together, and all of the accolades that's gone through with those things that go on. I mean, we're going to have that discussion later on today about working together with some summer student stuff too, as well as continue to try to do neat things in Montague, which is great.
Yeah.
And the story boards and everything else that hopefully in our future too as well. I think it'll be exciting to work with the library to make sure that we do all that correctly too as well. So
Yeah.
it's just exciting.
Correctly is maybe strong, but I know some things you want to avoid doing.
Your knowledge would be obviously very, very critical. Yeah, and I think it's great. I think it's wonderful that it's a great partnership again for Montague with the library too as well, and with our two libraries. So much that happens in those places that is great for our community. So I think it's for us, in my opinion, is money well spent and well done for the residents too as well. So thank you, Mary Kate.
Thank you, and you're all welcome to work. Just leave it there. You will figure it out. Thank you. Sorry.
Now I'll move on to our report of municipal officers. Listen for our pit meter replacement, please.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, so in front of you this evening is a report in relation to our 2 pit meters that are in the water sewer service area. So the township does have agreements that date back to 86 for both water and wastewater with the town of Smith Falls. Included in the agreement is the portion that relates to the main pit meters. So those main pit meters are the asset of the township, not the town. So basically, every month, the town of Smith Falls reads those meters to bill us for the bulk use. We obviously bill out per meter for usage for each household, but they bill it to us on a bulk use. These pit meters they were not functioning at all. I think they're partially functioning at this point, so they need to be replaced. This report is coming forward. This was not in the budget. There are photos of the pit meter. And it has come forward from the town of Smith Falls that on the last read, they couldn't get the read from them. Keeping in mind that it's also old technology. They have to use a mirror to put down in the hole to even try and read. And you can see the condition of them, that they're not all that easy to read. They can't send somebody down the hole because there's a whole health and safety thing there. So we are recommending that we follow the agreement and replace our assets of the pit meters, because that is how the town bills us in relation to the water agreement. So Evans Supply is the supplier for our water products. So it corresponds and it's compatible with our current equipment. We do have a quote from Evans Supply to get the meters. So it is requested that it be a sole source so that we don't get non-compatible equipment, which could add to the costing as well. This would be installed and put in place. So the quote is $11,637.47, inclusive of non-refundable HST. The recommendation is that it would be reserves from our water and wastewater funds would be from the water and wastewater reserves to replace the capital assets.
Open up for any questions.
Has to be done.
Choice,
Has to be done.
Has to be done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Following the agreement and like you said, you gotta go with the product that fits the bill, so
And it's not gonna deplete the reserves or it's
it's their part.
So the capital reserve allocations every year include the replacement of these type of capital items. And these items are original, like
because
to
they're
the
lifespan.
install of the system. So they've well outlived their lifespan. And it is time to replace them.
So moved by Deputy Reeve Carroll and seconded by Councillor Abbas that council approves the purchase of 2 pit meters from Evans Water Supply as a sole source purchase in the amount of $11,637.47, inclusive of non-refundable HST, as per the 1986 agreement with the town of Smith Falls, indicates the pit meters are owned by the township, and that council approves the use of water capital reserves to fund the purchase of the 2 pit meters. All in favor? And that's carried. So moved by Councillor Abbas and seconded by Councillor Crabtree that council approve the minutes of the Committee of Whole meeting of March 19th, 2024, and approve the recommendations contained within. All in favor? And that's carried. Moved by Councillor Crabtree, seconded by Deputy Reeve Carroll, that council approve the minutes of the Merrickville Library Board meeting of March 2024 as information this date. All in favor? And that's carried. We have no petitions in our first bylaw. Moved by Deputy Reeve Carroll, seconded by Councillor Abbas, that bylaw 4062/2024, being a bylaw to establish and impose tax rates for the purpose of raising the general, municipal, county, and education levies for the year 2024, be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed, and sealed the 2nd day of April 2024. All in favor? And that's carried. Moved by Councillor Abbas, seconded by Councillor Crabtree, that bylaw 4063/2024, being a bylaw to authorize the registration of a site plan agreement with 2207124 Ontario Limited the owner of 37 Rideau Ave North in Smith Falls, Ontario, be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed, and sealed the second day of April 2024. All in favor? And that's carried. We have no motions, notice of motions. Our first item from information to action is A, our annual repayment.
Thanks, guys.
Annual repayment.
Sorry, yeah, that's the information, and that, I mean, I brought it forth because I think it's one of those things that it's more just information and just so it's there. I mean, it's the one that with, I mean, as we talked about the building and everything else too as well, it's good information that's out there, so.
And B, Lanark County Media Release, Public Works Construction for 2024.
This one's quick, I'm not really gonna talk about it a lot, but it just shows all of what, like, there's nothing really in our Montague area, but just sort of all of the public works stuff that the county does. I mean, $13 million worth of road infrastructure and everything else. Bear in mind, they do have over 600 kilometers of road that they do. So I think it's interesting just to kind of see what they're working on too as well.
And
then
Lanark County Media Release for
and
homelessness.
this is the other one, I've talked about this one, and this is the big communication piece that's been coming out of the county, talking about the homelessness issues that we are obviously seeing more and more in our county, and how we're trying to deal with it. And obviously, this is a lot of it stems from what's being done at the old Willowdale retirement home. And this once again just talks about the housing first strategy. And I mean, there's no perfect fit or perfect silver bullet for homelessness, and I think everybody has their opinions of the best way to fix it. This one has a lot of data behind it as far as the housing first, and this is just another piece of the communication that comes from the county that talks about what that looks like and sort of what we're doing to make sure that this was a big point that we've been endlessly talking about. How do we make sure that we communicate as much as possible? So we try to figure this out in Lanark County to end it in Lanark County, or at least minimize it as much as possible. So once again, it's just a lot of good information that we want to continue to share, that I know we've been posting on our socials too as well, and trying to get it out there, just so we're doing our part in communicating that out. So thank you for all that.
So now for other business, we're going to recess.
You can ask questions.
Questions? Okay, we'll ask questions. Thank you.
I have a question regarding the pit meter. We only have 2 of them, I take it. They're both being replaced, but these are 30 years old, I think. So why wouldn't we be able to use 6.03 and get them to pay for it? Because it's gonna be an improvement. You're not gonna replace them with 30-year-old meters. Is there no way that we can, or even like go half?
So we've met, so they're installing them for free, we're purchasing the meters. So we already have had that agreement, so we don't have to pay somebody to install, Smith Falls is installing it instead of us getting a contractor.
But they're not considered an improvement that they have to pay for?
No, because we're just replacing, just because it's newer maybe technology, we're still replacing what was there, we're not upgrading in any sense.
Class.
Yes, thank you, Reeve. My question is for you, to the Deputy Reeve. In regards to the Willowdale project for homeless and so forth, will that be a Smith Falls first for homelessness, or Lanark County thrown into the mix?
Lanark County is not really even the head on it. It's Lanark County Mental Health that is the head on it.
Right.
And it is designed to facilitate for Lanark County. That being said, what our understanding is a lot of times when you're trying to fix homelessness too as well, you're trying to fix people that you want to keep them in their community. And a lot of those more than likely would be, well, we don't, I mean, it hasn't been done yet, right? But you could probably see that maybe more people from Smith Falls might be would be there. Bear in mind, Smith Falls has the highest homelessness in all of Lanark County as it is.
Correct.
And they buy into that service. But once again, it is more directed from Lanark County Mental Health and not necessarily right from the social service department from the county.
Okay, just to follow up. So is the Ministry of Health involved in this?
As far as, well, the money that comes from the that goes towards that is money that comes from the province, right? As you know, that a lot of that money that comes down from the province then is facilitated then from the, so it's not coming from the general taxpayer. Well, it is coming from the taxpayer, because it's coming from all of us, but it's not coming from the tax levy like the from our housing taxes. It's coming from that provincial side of it to deal with any of those social services issues.
Okay, one more follow, if I may, Reeve. Maintenance wise, who's gonna be responsible for the maintenance of the building? The owner or the Lanark County?
My understanding is that Samir is the owner of the building, and they're leasing it to Lanark County Health. Samir will be doing the maintenance of it, but to my understanding, but obviously the costing would be fronted by the social services department.
Okay, it's much like the end of this.
Yeah,
And it is only 11 of the rooms currently that are going to be used.
correct. Yeah, it's only 11 rooms that are being retrofitted for that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you were discussing, that you didn't know whether you're gonna go in camera or in a public meeting to discuss the merits of the candidates. What did you decide?
We're staying open.
Well, we're staying open.
You're staying open?
Yeah, I wanted to bring forth
No, that's fine.
indications of reports that showed of what other municipalities have done. I just want to make sure we have the full information, but we're staying open.
If you are having an in-camera meeting, I know you're not, I'm just curious, who's present in an in-camera meeting?
All of council
And stuff.
Okay.
and this, depending on what the in-camera is discussing, it would be the appropriate staff member.
Oh, and staff are in
The
camera.
appropriate staff member, depending on what is discussed.
Okay, thanks.
If Allison wants to, yeah.
So so for an in-camera, there has to be a clerk present to take minutes for the in-camera meeting.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that it has to be staff. It could be, a clerk that is contracted by the municipality too, depending on what the in-camera is for.
One other question. When we're watching it, streaming this on YouTube, the meeting ends when you adjourn. But if people are still asking questions, is there any chance we could keep it running until there's no more questions being asked and answered?
We're still streaming now.
We're still streaming right now.
We're still
Okay,
streaming.
so, well, normally I've watched them, it cuts off pretty well. But if we could just keep it going, it would be kind of nice for people that are all watching.
Grace, do you want to answer that?
Just,
Sorry.
Chair, through you, the meeting is always continuous. The question period happens and then you adjourn the meeting. I shut down the audio and the visual while we transition to committee of the whole, restart the audio and the visual, and then it continues through as well until committee has adjourned, at which point I do end the live stream.
Well,
There's
if
no-
people are asking questions though.
Then
that's
they're
the
not
part that's
asking
cut.
questions during the session of either council or committee.
I know, but I was wondering if it could be run, so the people that are watching and listening, if there's question from the audience, they get to hear that question and the answer.
Well, we do the questions during our question period.
Dave, are you asking us to basically, in between the 2 minutes, just keep running it the whole time?
No, if there's questions being asked and there's answers being given,
But that's what they're saying. They're saying that we asked the question. We asked the question from the audience. We asked the question from anybody online, and we asked the question from anybody on email. And when we have no questions on any of the above, that's when Grace will go into a point where we adjourn and we close the end of the meeting.
if a lot of times when you adjourn the meeting, there's still questions being asked and answered.
But that would be a question that's not part of the agenda, unless somebody just decided to have a conversation.
I understand that. I don't know the legalese of streaming a YouTube video channel. Why can't we just let it run out until nobody's asking any question? So those people online
We do.
can actually hear them and get
Asking
answers.
until everyone has left the room.
We do.
Yeah, why not? Well, no, I watch them, and it doesn't. When you adjourn the meeting, it'll cut off, or sometimes it cuts off partway through. I'm just asking as a policy.
Can you provide us the dates that you're saying it was cut midway through, just so we can take a look at to make sure that there's no issues? Because my understanding is that we have a question period. Anybody who wants to ask a question to council during that question period does, then council adjourns. So if there's a video that you're aware of that cut partway through, please let us know, because we're not aware of it.
it does cut,
That-
okay?
I'm just asking for
It
you to
does-
provide us the date.
I know, but it doesn't freeze. Okay, so so obviously it was, okay, that's fine.
If you can just provide that to us, just so we can look into it, that'd be great.
Any further questions? Any questions online?
I have none.
Okay. So moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Deputy Carroll, that council recess at 6:36 PM. All in favor? That's carried. Okay, so now we'll recess.
We're gonna go to
Go into committee.
Yeah, to committee,
committee, you know.
and then we'll come back.
Welcome back, everybody, to our committee of the whole meeting. So I'll open the meeting with our land acknowledgement. The council and staff of the Township of Montague acknowledge that this sacred land in which the Township of Montague is now located and this meeting is being held is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin Ashabi Nation. So quick adoption of the agenda, moved by Councillor Abbas and seconded by Councillor Crabtree, that the committee of the whole agenda dated April 2nd, 2024 be approved as presented to this date. All in favor? And that's carried. No disclosure of interest, no delegations, but our first report is our planner Kirsten about our parkland fees.
Good evening, council, members of the public. So the report you have before you this evening relates to the parkland dedication bylaw. The Planning Act gives municipalities the authority to collect parkland, cash in lieu of parkland, or a combination of both for severances and subdivisions. And the purpose of this parkland, or cash in lieu of parkland, is to ensure that we have sufficient and appropriate recreational resources for our ratepayers. For a land severance, it's generally not appropriate to require parkland in lieu of cash in lieu of parkland, as the amount of the land that would likely be acquired would be insufficient for parkland purposes. So in these particular circumstances, cash in lieu would be a more appropriate avenue. But for subdivisions, depending on the location of the subdivision, parkland might be appropriate. If there aren't any amenities in proximity to the development, or if the development is of such a size that the existing amenities wouldn't be sufficient to serve the increase in the population. It's also possible to require a combination of parkland and cash in lieu of parkland in subdivisions. So currently the Township of Montague charges $500 per residential building lot created by severance, and that fee has been in place for approximately 15 years. Staff have conducted a review of other local municipal parkland policies, and there is some comparables in the report. We wanted to see if our fee was reasonable. So the range in the report was $0 for the Township of Drummond North Elmslie. They don't charge for severances. But if we take them out of the equation, as well as Carlton Place and Mississippi Mills, because theirs are quite substantially higher, the range is anywhere from $450 to $1,850. And some of those municipalities, they will differentiate between waterfront and non-waterfront, or access to the property on a local road or a county road. So staff have reviewed these cash in lieu amounts that the municipalities charge, and the feeling is that ours should be increased. And the amount that we feel it should be increased to would be $1,000 per severed lot from the current $500. And I believe at a previous meeting, our clerk had talked about our building fees, and we would be also talking about the proposed parkland fee adjustment, if council chooses to go that way, at that same public meeting. So I will open it up to questions.
Thank you, Kirsten. That's a good information with the parkland fee, especially like an update, because it's been 15 years since it's been looked at. So that's fantastic. On that note, I'll open it up to any questions from council at all. Yes, Reed?
Can you explain to us what parkland fees can be used towards?
Did you want to, or do you want me to? I'm fine with it. So the bylaw that's attached to the report has a section in there called eligible projects.
Yeah.
So the land that would be acquired for parkland or public recreation purposes is what an eligible project would be. So it could be new parkland or recreation purposes. It can also be improvements to existing parkland or recreational purposes. As we are very well aware, the cost of everything is increasing daily. So things need to be replaced for health and safety purposes. So that would be what an eligible project would be.
So for example, the 22 acres that we're planning on developing and putting money into for the Montague residents.
That would be an eligible project.
So Chair, through you, so that's a perfect example, where we're gonna use the current fees we have of just over 100,000 to start that process. So that is exactly the type of things that we use for.
Thank you.
Everybody gets to use it.
Yeah, I think that's an important part, for myself is that, you know, the reason why we have those parking fees is to look at how you can better your community and do everything else. I don't wanna pick on too many different other municipalities, but there are some municipalities that, you know, obviously don't charge for any of that, but also don't offer any type of those services in their townships. And I think it's prudent, and when you look at the ones that do, you see a younger demographic and a higher workforce and all of in those demographics. So it's interesting when you dive down the data for that of when you're offering those things, and I think it's great for like Councillor Crabtree said with the looking at the 22 acres, and also like even at Rosedale Hall, if there's, you know, something is, you know, goes wrong with some of our equipment down there too as well, like the play structure, something like that, there's stuff there that then they can help make sure that we can maintain it and keep it too as well. So I think that's great. So
Yeah,
thank you.
and one of the other things I did want to point out is in the bylaw, in section 4, where we talked about the conveyance of land as opposed to the cash in lieu. We wanted to be really clear in identifying the types of lands that would be appropriate for conveyance to the municipality for parkland, because we don't want swamp, we don't want unsafe lands. We want to make sure that it's something that actually is viable and can be used by residents for recreational purposes. So we have specified that wasn't specified previously. So essentially someone could give us 5% of the worst part of a subdivision without having something like this in place.
So
Go ahead.
I'd also like to point out to the public that and there's a person in this room that will be able to agree with me on this. The price of a severance, the $1,000 is not the big budget item when you're talking about severances. So this is actually not a big increase as far as the severance goes. There's other stuff that costs a lot more when you're doing all this, and so this is not really that much of an increase.
And I'll be honest, in pre-consultations with applicants for severance files, especially ones who do development in other municipalities as well, they're often quite shocked that it's only $500. You know, I've had people say City of Ottawa's 10,000. I mean, obviously I understand it's a bigger city and the costs are exponentially higher there, but I think 500 is very modest, and I would recommend that it be increased, and my recommendation is 1,000, but I will leave that up to council's discretion, how they wish to move forward with that.
well, we're going to bring it to the
Correct.
so as we go through that process too as well, and then we finalize that. So it's good that we're
How many years was it?
It's been about 15 years. So based on our current $500, I think the report states that that would be like a lot that would be valued at $20,000, and obviously lots are a lot more expensive than $20,000. So
Thank you.
yeah.
Any questions from us? Yeah.
It was just and moving forward, it's something that we're going to be watching and monitoring more than just every 15 years now.
Right, yeah, we'll have that on our radar for frequent revisiting, perhaps, pursuant like the building bylaw.
Yes,
I know
exactly.
for each term of council, we'll review it again to make sure that it's in line with our needs and that it's appropriate.
Mhm.
That's perfect. I think that's good. I think that's good. Great explanation and good discussion too as well, to make sure, you know, it's a good understanding of what it's for and all the positive that it brings to as well. So thank you for that, Kirsten.
So I guess you have to come up with what option you want to go with.
I guess we're choosing option 1, right? Because we're doing and then going to the public meeting. So yeah, so that's option 1. Yeah. So moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Reeve Jennings. The council will proceed with option 1 here in relation to parkland deduction bylaw presented this date. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kirsten. Next on the docket is Allison's going to just talk about our summer student collaboration, which is kind of exciting.
Thank you, Chair. So this report is in relation to our summer students. So normally we have an administrative summer student and 2 public works summer students. We don't feel that there's a need for an administrative summer student, that it would be better directed towards recreational or some programming throughout the summer, such as tutoring and potentially like a kids club in an evening, sports, things like that in the community. So with that, we've had some discussions, as Mary Kate had noted this evening, with Merrickville Library. So last year we partnered with Smiths Falls. Smiths Falls applied to our municipal donation or grants for just over $2,700 to have a 2-week tutor program at Rosedale Hall. We had limited children from Montague attend. It worked out to almost $480 per Montague attendant because most of them were Smiths Falls attendants. They deemed that the Rosedale Hall was not a great location to do tutoring and were not interested in providing it again in 2024. So we did post for a rec student. We got some great applications and we have a student starting the first week of May. With that, it's my recommendation through the discussions with Merrickville Library to do a collaboration with them this year and have our student go 1 day a week to the Merrickville Library and get, first of all, to assist Mary Kate with some of the programming that they do there, and to also get ideas and collaborations that can come back with that student for to happen at Rosedale Hall. Mary Kate has also offered to put on a paint night as the librarian for us as well in the collaboration and do things like that. So we think it'll be beneficial and the resources that will be available to them from the library to be able to bring to Montague as well will be beneficial for everyone. So the cost off of a student for 7 hours for 16 weeks is approximately $2,420, which is under the amount that we provided to Smiths Falls last year. And it's already budgeted in the wages for the summer student under the administration. So there would be no financial impact, but those community collaborations would continue to grow and that ultimately have a great impact for everyone involved normally.
Thank you, Allison. I think this is another great opportunity to open up to council. Any questions at all, or?
I think it's a great initiative, and, you know, helping out our community as much as we can.
Yeah, I think once again, I think one of the things with the, we've had administrative students, we have one sitting with us right now, we had for a couple of years. And I think one of the big things with that was there was a lot of work that had to be done. And I think Grace did a lot of cleaning up of some of that stuff as a summer student when she was here. And we had, and she gave good direction to the summer students that to finish up that work that she had started. I don't think we had the township really as organized and going in the right direction that we've ever had. So like some of that is now such streamlined from that great work over the years from those summer students and from Grace leading that through too. So I think it's fantastic, and now we can look at expanding out to other things that we've been doing in the community that we've seen a lot of positive feedback and great successes from as we're doing those things in the community. So I think this is another great initiative. Great, Allison from the staff to reach out to the Merrickville Library to work with Mary Kate. We can see the passion that she has when she's here to want to work in the community. So this is once again for the cost a great initiative I think overall. So. Thank you, council, and I'll move that by Reeve Jennings and seconded by Councillor Abbas. The council approves the 2024 summer student collaboration with the Merrickville Library as presented this date. All in favor? That's carried. Next one is Allison about the Lanark County Municipal Climate Grant.
Thank you, Chair. So the county has released the grant applications for each of the lower tier municipalities to apply for the funds similar to last year. So last year was the first year for the initiative. We had applied for the food cyclers and the free composters, which we're still offering the free composters. It was posted on April 1st that they're still available here to ratepayers of the municipality. We will be doing a food cycler contest again this year as well, similar to last year with the remaining food cycler. So last year was up to $10,000 for each lower tier municipality to bring forward a project that would meet the electric vehicle and or waste initiative. This year, they've changed it a little bit in more of like an environmental impact grant, and it's at 11.5. And I don't know, maybe council can speak to it. I'm not sure if the increase was because some of the lower tiers didn't apply for it last year, so they rolled it in, or if it's just the county council has approved an additional amount. Anyhow, so again, staff has met with the school to discuss some collaborations to get the children and youth age on the environmental aspect. We have, I'm sure you saw on social, and council's aware that we did chip the brush from last year, and we've had people coming to get that as we're offering out the byproduct out to the public as well. This initiative, we spoke about a couple of different things when we met with the school. So donation of trees, so some larger trees for shade space, which would be, it could be expensive depending on the size of the tree. So the school is planning on doing a community garden as well. So we've kept some mulch aside for them that we will deliver over to the school when that time comes. And they've asked for some cost, which is attached, the letter from the students and the real world experimental learning, to build some cedar boxes of about $1,000. And then the other initiative was to provide all staff and every child, which is almost 270 at the school now, a reusable water bottle. So that would be inclusive. So no matter what income level or anything, they would all get the same water bottle. Plus we would be promoting the reduction of water bottles in plastic form and trying to promote the reusable in the schools at that age, that younger age. I think that all the options are obviously for council consideration. The available funding, as I said, was the 11.5. The cost of the trees would be unknown at this time until we would get pricing on different sizes of trees and whether evergreen, maple, all those different things. The cost to donate to help with the community gardens would be minimal. We do still have grant and donation money in the council side of things to potentially use the $1,000 towards that there, plus the free mulch and potentially some staff time to assist if needed. And option 3 with the reusable water bottles and that with the engraved Montague and potentially county, because it's a collaborative effort, would be just over $12,000. So we'd be short about $600 to provide that.
I think you also did a lot to chew on for that. I'll give it quick because you had a couple of questions when you fired in there too, as well as the so last year for the for this climate grant, yes, you had to apply as a lower tier to the upper tier. To our understanding, there was it 3 or 4? Was it 4? Only 4 municipalities actually went ahead and did it. We were one of the 4. Which is great, and we did it. Part of that extra bump in money, those two, as well as that part of the budget, there was some disaster relief kits that they were looking at, sort of like doing as a distribution to some lower tiers and we just didn't see where the value of that was going to go. So we thought, you know what, if we're going to do that to the lower municipalities, why don't we just instead roll in what we were going to pay for those disaster reliefs and let the municipalities, the lower tier, decide what they want to do with like their own initiative. If they wanted, get some disaster relief kits and that's what they want to use for some of the money, then they could do that or choose their own direction. So that's kind of where it is. So that kind of answers all that. As far as I'll open up for discussion as far as what council thinks as far as that goes. Reeve, I'll come back here. Reeve, yeah.
I would go with option 2 and 3. I think using the $1,000 out of our grant money that's still available for the garden is a great idea. And then providing the water bottles to every child so that they have the reusable, I think is a good idea as well.
That's what I was gonna suggest, in my case anyways. So, yeah.
And $2.18 an individual, I think it's investing in Montague. So I don't, that's not a huge cost to say that we're trying to do something, we're trying to do better. So for the small amount, considering all the grants that Ali does win for us, and the money that we do save on the back end of stuff, I think we should do it.
So option 2 and 3 is like working towards the community garden side of things. And I think as we do that community garden, it'd be interesting to also talk to Elizabeth, who's the climate person at the county. Because one of the expansion things that they've done is the pollinator, and they did it in 3 of the Perth schools, and we brought it up at the last meeting too as well, about how the expansion of that to get the pollinator. So if that garden is being done, the county can also maybe help support with like a pollinator spot too as well, and they help with like bringing in like the pollinator stuff, and like doing the butterfly thing too as well. So I think there'd be a lot of opportunity that we can combine into that and actually get a little bit more out of that, because the county does support that stuff. And we pushed pretty hard to say, we want you out of Perth. We want you to come out. If you're going to do it in Perth and it's a Lanark County initiative, it should be in all parts of Lanark County. So I would, if we're going to go for number 2, I would be pushing pretty hard to say, okay, let's also get that part of the pollinators of, because if you can do a garden, it's good to have a pollinator part of it too as well, right? I was gonna say, and the reusable water idea I think is great, because we brand those all with Montague Township too as well, which I think is another part of the brand initiative that we're doing. And it's it's going to sense a bit of, along with the reusability and the child having that reusable water bottle, which is great. And then also gives a sense of pride too as well for where we live, I think, which is a nice growth.
A real sense of community.
A real sense of community. I think that it adds to that for sure. So I'd say it's an important aspect. So Alison, you have something?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So, and again, we spoke about these items with the county ahead of time, and they are very much in favor of collaborations with the schools to get that information out. So, and again, this was just the start of a collaboration discussion with the school. So then because of this discussion, I also sent them a list of grants that potentially would apply to them, or potentially we could partner on as well, and the potential partnerships for the 22 acres right beside the school and the school age kids and all those things. So it really opened up a lot of those doors. And I think, as you said, the school is like a safe space, or it's a community space for children, and we want them to feel the same about the township. So I think that's, again, similar to the summer student collaborations with Merrickville. It's one of those very important collaborations. In a small community, we have to build those relationships.
100%. The collaboration with that school and it connects with the 22 acres and everything else that goes along with that. That is part of that community building that's just going to bring the positive nature that we're looking for in our township. So I think these are all, and it's great that you've been collaborating with them, especially with different grant ideas. I think that really makes a big difference, and I'm sure the parents hear about it too as well. And on that note too as well, if anybody receives the journal that gets in our mailboxes and also gets in our email too as well, you'll notice in the journal there's a nice little article with Alison presenting the food recyclers to 2 of the classes. Miss Martin, who's on our library board, Miss Kendrick, who I've worked with in the past too as well, is a fantastic teacher. And those 2 classes when they win the contest. So I think that's another great example of that of that collaboration, and it's recognized nicely in the media too as well. So congratulations on that too as well. It was fantastic. So anything else? Good stuff. All right. So moved by Councillor Abbas and seconded by Councillor Crabtree. The council accepts the 2024 Lanark County Municipal Climate Grant application as discussed the state. The council directs staff to proceed with the application in collaboration with the local Montague Public School. All in favor? And that's carried. So next on our docket is the Economic Development Strategic Plan from 2018. Alison?
Thank you, Chair. Another collaboration report. So this report is coming forward. The Economic Development Strat Plan was developed in 2018 with 10 priority actions being presented at that time. Some of the items have been addressed. Some are still outstanding. In the attachment, you do see kind of an update as to the status of some of those priority actions. In relation to the budget, so there is currently no budget for ACDEV for the township, but we do understand the importance of working towards that strat plan from 2018. So there's some initiatives being presented this evening that could be viable for 2024, with potentially some funds being set aside in the 2025 budget, depending on how things look. to move forward with some various items as well. So one of them is to reach out to local businesses to request their logo and information for a type of support local document that would accompany the tax bill. So we would still have a messenger go out with all of our information. In the interim bill, there was a single document in relation to the zoning bylaw update. So this would be a single document to be a support local. So basically we would reach out, do a social post for any local businesses or property owners who pay taxes here, but maybe have a business local to Merrickville or Smith Falls or anything along those lines, that we could get their business card or logo information and place it on there and put it in the tax bill so that every property owner in Montague would receive it in an initiative to support local. This would have very minimal cost to us, approximately $650 for the printing of the document, and then the extra postage for the extra weight of the document. It's very minimal, but it would have about $650 additional cost, but I think could have a big impact to start that initiative. Then we would also update our website with those businesses that are out of date and minimal for what we know is in this municipality. Another option, so once the 22 acres is complete, there could be a report to council to develop a name for the park space. It could include community input and or potential for naming rights on the park, that each year a business pays to put their name on the park, and then that helps maintain the cost of maintenance on the park, but they also get that advertising out to the community as well. We did, so Grace did update and print our tourism brochure in 2023, so that's attached. Again, we're open to comment on that and updating that as well. So we could provide monthly business highlights on social media once we collect some of that information from those local businesses. That type of initiative that has no cost, it's staff time, but again, Grace is exceptional at the social media side, so it would be a good collaboration there. So continued funding from council for the MRCC community events. So they host people from all over Lanark County and surrounding areas. Some visitors indicate they come from Kingston and Ottawa. So the Mighty Machines, we had people from Kingston, Ottawa, all over the place saying that they drove up for it. So that's a great initiative, which is also a collaboration with the Smith Falls Flying Club for the space, and they normally offer out, they have the gliders going and all those types of things as well. So a report from the junior planner is going to come forward on the industrial lands that's included in this economic development strategic plan and potential options. So again, there was some community input online this year about parking for the snowmobile trail and all those types of things. So we'll come up with some obviously recommendations and council for discussion on the industrial lands and potential for them either in the near future or maybe a further out future, but what we could really do and try and utilize some of those lands, even if they are vacant, until development happens. So our recommendation is that council approve immediately that we can do an outreach to local businesses or taxpayers with local businesses in neighboring communities to really get that installment printed and folded for our August bill. It will come quick, and we will start working obviously on the other items attached as well. And the website we know is also an issue. Like, we know that the website needs some cleanup too, so we'll be working on that throughout the summer as well. So again, the initiatives presented this evening or have a cost of approximately $650 that can be funded from our current budget through the postage.
Thank you, Allison. Once again, lots of chew on there too as well. So I'll open that to council for any comments or questions, or
I think it's a good idea.
Support
Nice to
local.
see them. Yeah.
support locals.
Get the
Big.
names out.
They talk about go to Roma and all those other ones. It's support local and, feed your neighbors.
Yeah.
So it's a great initiative.
It's not that expensive.
No, I think it's going forward. I think it's a continued look. I mean, when we've been looking at that industrial park, industrial land area too as well for a while. And one of the biggest ones was like figuring out how we can make it developable. We were having conversations, but then COVID kind of came along too as well. But we knew it with Kirsten coming on, that was sort of one of the goals, was that she was able to start to, and obviously with COVID, it became very busy in the planning world too as well. But we know that that was part of the goals is for her to look at those things when the time really came up to it. And it sounds like we're getting towards that, which is fantastic. I think the airport's another great example too as well. Hopefully we're gonna have some good agreements all kind of tied up and done with the airport, which then opens up the ability for us to have more of those conversations with the work out there too as well. So Reeve and I have been working, and along with Allison, actually more Allison's probably working the hardest out of all of us. I try to figure out and get that down pat so we can utilize that. I'm glad that the website was brought up. I mean, it was something that was updated from a very archaic one that we had in the past. But when you update to something new, I think it's great to see what is working and what's not working and how we can make it better. So definitely we have improvements and we want to see what the next improvements are. So I think I'm going to say these are all great options going in the right direction. I like the 22 acres idea too as well of the naming. Is another way of seeing how we can, generate revenue to once again make something better in the community, and also recognize maybe local businesses that we have. So I think there's a lot of great moves forward, and I think especially we look with the land that Kirsten's going to be looking at, it's going to be fantastic. So great work again as we're kind of taking our steps forward. I think there's a little bit of delay in some of that plan, but I think we all recognize the few years that really kind of snailed a lot of stuff. So I think it's great that we're bringing it back forward and we're getting ready to keep moving with it. So great job again from the staff to make sure that we're doing that. So on that note, I will move this by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Reeve Jennings. The council approves the recommendation to the Economic Development Local Business Collaboration Report as presented this date. All in favor? And that is carried. No reports for committees and petitions, notice of motions and unfinished business and all that kind of fun stuff. So before we adjourn, do we have any burning questions for the audience from this meeting? Anybody at all? Oh, I see Maggie back there.
You might be able to answer this one. On that parkland in lieu of payment, that's for anybody who serves a lot, pays $750 for the parkland, and you want to put that to 1,000, right?
It's currently 500.
Oh, sorry, 500.
Yeah, and I
It
believe,
says 750 per one. Okay,
I
that's
believe
fine.
my first version of the bylaw I had incorrectly put $750 if you,
Okay,
but it's proposed to be, bumped up to 1,000, and it would be for lots created, by a severance that are undeveloped, so it'd be for a building lot. So if it already had a house on it, you don't pay cash in lieu if you're creating a severance on a lot.
but
that
then if
already
you
is.
want to build on that lot,
Mhm.
you have to pay a further 5% of the appraised value?
No,
No.
Okay, I'm
No.
reading this wrong then.
yeah, so the cash in lieu would be a condition of severance approval. And so it is paid before the township issues a clearance letter to the county so that they can complete the severance. So that's paid before the severance is completed. It's
Okay.
not a development
Yeah,
charge.
I'm reading this wrong.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Maggie. Any other questions?
I like the idea of the drinking glasses for the cups for the people, the public school. How many of the students, do you have any idea how many actually are Montague's residents that go to the public school?
You can take it, I believe everybody.
So we can't ask
Yeah,
that, as
Just a-
far as that,
Just a ballpark.
I can't provide that number to you. They have 270 students. But I couldn't tell you, and nor would they be able to give us that information. I don't
Okay, I was
think.
just curious.
When you look at the catchment area, they're Montague residents. So, but like it's a pretty good, yeah.
It's a minor area that's not Montague residents that the school board brings in for their district to us. So it's minor compared to the bulk that are there.
Thank you.
And that doesn't include, we have to remember too as well, we also have Montague residents that would go to St. Francis and Duncan J School too as well. Because that they're in those catchment areas in the Catholic board, and they wouldn't be involved in this, which is unfortunate, but yeah, good question though. Any other questions?
Mine was just a follow up on that. So our cutoff is Rideau Avenue. There are exemptions and allowances to go beyond that. So percentage wise, you're probably looking at a good 90.
Perfect, thank you. So on that note, we'll close her down. So, and we're just in camera left that Reeve Jennings will come back and chair. So moved by Reeve Jennings and seconded by Councillor Abbas that the committee of the whole meeting for April 2nd, 2024 now be adjourned at 7:16 p.m. All in favor? That's carried.
Oh, gosh. Okay, go ahead, Karen. My video is kind of funky. Here we go.
Welcome back. Moved by Deputy Reeve Carroll, seconded by Councillor Abbas, that council resume the April 2nd, 2024 meeting at 7:23 PM. All in favor, and that's carried. So we'll now go into our in-camera session. Moved by Councillor Abbas, seconded by Councillor Crabtree, that this council moves into closed session at 7:23 PM. As per section 2392 of the Municipal Act, SO 2001, in order to address one item, negotiations with the town of Smith Falls, various files, more specifically 239K, a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board, 2001, C25, section 2392, 2017, C10, schedule 1, S26. All in favor? And that's carried.